Not default. We need no. There we go. There we go. I have sound now. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. We are going to get ready to get this started. I'm going to get the word out on both post and on Spoutable. Spoutable being my main social media now, and I am going to get to all of that today as well because they are hitting some milestones. If you are an Android user, you should be getting word that the Spoutable app will be available soon. They are doing a test run with some beta testers, and I am very excited about that. Christopher Boozy has been really busting his butt to make a viable alternative to Twitter, and I do believe that Spoutable's it. I enjoy echoing. I really do enjoy the amount of interactions that I have on there, and it is just a easier place to be for my social media. I have not been on the Deadbird app in a while, and I'm going to get to a whole slew of reasons why in just a little bit, but I really feel like Spoutable coming up just feels right. It feels natural and organic, and I am glad to be a part of it from the ground up. But we're opening up our Bonnet Chronicles with pride, sadly, with somebody who should have been a positive representation, should have been a beacon during this time of month, but is, as usual, a fraud and a disgrace. Of course, we talk about the great pretender, George Santos. And why are we bringing up George Santos? Well, because the idiot decided that I would rather sit in jail than give up the 3 people who donated money to his bail. Why are you protecting the names of people who gave you money for something that you probably shouldn't have been getting money for in the first place? The shadiness, the lies, the fabrication of everything about his life should have disqualified this person from being a representative. But the state of New York was like, it shouldn't matter. What's the harm? We don't know all the levels of fraud that this man has committed throughout his life, but we do know that he's defrauded charities, allegedly, I gotta say. We do know that there's a question about the identity that he claims to have because he claimed Jewish heritage, which he has no proof of. He claimed Holocaust survivors' ancestry that he has no proof of. He swears he's LGBTQ, which I can't question. But everything about his life feels completely fabricated. And the fact that he ran under the party that literally wants to pretty much outlaw everything about who he is and what he is, I don't understand it. George Santos, if he was a real deal person, would have been a perfect person to highlight and feature for Pride Month. But instead, he is a cautionary tale to those who just want to exist comfortably as who they are. You don't get in bed with the people who will see you lynched. In fact, there's a lady that was saying it on Spoutable. There are at least 525 current laws being drafted and some actually on the books banning the LGBTQ in several states. Yet this idiot, who is literally wasting a seat in our House of Representatives, has lied and misrepresented what it means. And it's so frustrating. Another point that was made on Spoutable, and this young lady said it, and it's true. In 1923, the rights back then especially, black men are going to come get your kids hepped up on reefer and steal your pure white daughters. Nowadays, trans people are going to get your kids on TikTok and turn your daughter into a boy. It's the same ridiculous, unethical, but radicalizing culture war bullshit that these people put out there. They lie. And it goes so much deeper than just stealing your daughters, because that's a whole ass mess in itself. It really is about their weird pseudo morality versus the reality of just existing. Letting people be who they are comfortably doesn't sit well when you want to control shit. And we are literally up against a bunch of weirdo control freaks that don't even believe in the book that they seem to tout. Because if they did, they would continue to have love and compassion instead of making everybody their enemy. But the so-called good Christians out there are so few and far between right now. And there are so many that just want to use that fire and brimstone attitude to create enemies where there shouldn't be any. To create animus where there doesn't need to be. And what troubles me about it is how effective they are. We're going to get to it today because there's literally an article out there about an Oklahoma board approving taxpayer funding for state-sanctioned schools. And that should scare anybody. Anybody with historical leans, anybody who understands the history of fascism, the history of why we separated church and state, it should give you pause that any state in our union, hey, Beans, welcome to the chat, would stoop to this. But it shouldn't shock you because that is the only way they're going to win the culture war now. They are not going to play fair. They are not going to play by the rules. And we need to stay focused. And I know that next year has been on a lot of people's minds, sadly. We can't help it. The presidential election is an open forum. We really have to have it that way. It's no offense. But unfortunately for us, it does open up the doors for a bunch of character actors. And as I said on Spoutable, it looks like Woo Elma, Marianne Williamson, Miss Chakra Crystals, and all out the bullcrap new age, I'm a white lady trying to steal from a culture that I don't understand, Williamson, an obscure Kennedy that I didn't even realize was a Kennedy until somebody told me. I was like, okay. And now Cornell, live action Grady, as I like to call him, from Sanford Sun West, is making his bid. I know some people are like, well, all these people running for president, what's that mean? It means they're trying to get money. That's all that means. And if you are like me and felt that this administration is doing their job in spite of the ingratitude, in spite of the way the media keeps trying to turn losses when there isn't any, we literally prevented the debt ceiling. He got the vaccine rollout. He has been the president that not only we needed, but we really had to have after 4 years of the fallout of 45. And I would love to see him and VP Harris continue on with that good work. So no matter who runs next year, I'm already set for who I'm voting for. This is not even a question to me, voting for the incumbent. But I know it's just going to be a lot of noise. And unfortunately for us, Silicon Valley bros decided to put themselves into the fray with their political theater. And it's not just apartheid edgelord with his Deathsantis launch, which I'm kind of upset that I had to take some personal time because with the move, there's going to be more time away until we get things situated. As you can see, all my stuff is gone. We had to pack a lot of stuff. We're still packing away all the stuff. Pretty soon the room's going to be bare, and then we're going to be in a whole new place. It's good, but it's kind of melancholy. It's hard to look and see my stuff gone, but it is what it is. We're moving, so you got to do things the right way. But to get back to the point, outside being upset that I couldn't dunk on the fail of Musk using Twitter to try to help Deathsantis launch his failed bid for president, and the whole idea of the GOP running like the worst of the worst to go up against 45 in the primary when most of their party is still loyal to that shit stain is just, it's comical. I'm not even thinking about the right anymore because they're not serious. Who do they literally have that will topple their orange clown? You have Deathsantis, who wants to be his own little Napoleon, tanking Florida, to the point where teachers, doctors, anybody with a brain does not want to live there. You've got Nikki Haley, Miss, I'm not sure of my identity, but I hate anybody who doesn't look like me, and I'm not even sure what I am. You got Uncle Remus. I mean, Tim Scott. Fucking, I don't even understand black Republicans, but whatever. I can't even get mad at him because I just pity him. He's pitiful. And I don't even know what the rest say. I don't care. It's like, in the whole shitfield arena, I hope they fight to the death, and I hope none of them come out alive. I do not care about the Republicans at this point. They are a shit show. And in the culture war of us versus them, they are the them, and I don't want no parts of them. So let them fight. Let them duke it out. Let them destroy each other for all I care. I am worried about the people who still play games during presidential elections, who think, oh, it's safe. Nobody's just going to let an incumbent lose. You need to take every election seriously. Those of you who are playing the games of, I need to be convinced this time. You need to convince my vote. We literally are the front against fascism. We cannot afford to play around. We cannot afford to get comfortable. The stability is nice, but you know how we keep stability? By keeping informed and keeping our part of the bargain up. By voting. We cannot sit home. We cannot act like it doesn't matter. And it needs to not just be for the national election. So many state and local elections go uncontested. And that is why shit like this happens. Let me get this article up because it floored me. But it doesn't shock me because this is legitimately how they are going to get us. And I want to quickly go over that dunk of Max Kennedy before I get to the Oklahoma thing. The reason why he wanted to say what he said about Jack Dorsey and why I'm avoiding Blue Sky, and I need you to understand that. I know Blue Sky's out there. Fuck Jack Dorsey. He done burnt me with the Twitter bullshit, selling it to apartheid edgelord, who he assumed and assured everybody that, oh, he's got this. He knows what he's doing. The motherfucker is hemorrhaging people. Like, Twitter is literally a shit show on fire. I've not logged in months, and I refuse to. And literally, I could. It would probably help me and my family out a lot if I networked on it. But I do not want to continue to put my content or myself on that shit show app. So to have Jack, who absconded with $44 billion and should have been living his happy, rich ass somewhere else, decided he's going to make a new app called Blue Sky and make it invite only to start it, trying to snipe from Spoutable, which it won't work because we've seen your bullshit, Jack. And apparently Jack decided to weigh in his little wannabe political theater antics to push the obscure Kennedy, who's supposedly running for president next year. We know Jack doesn't make good life decisions, with the exception of making his bag. I will always give him that. You made a $44 billion bag off a dummy. Take your money, run, and shut the fuck up. But what you're not going to do is influence the Democratic Party. Some of these guys, they really get in their hubristic heights of thinking, well, I'm smart enough to do this, so I should be able to influence that. And he might grab a few young dummies, a few wannabe clout goblins, a few chaser-ons that think Blue Sky is going to be something big because he caught lightning in the bottle once with Twitter. I'm telling you. If you follow Jack Dorsey for political advice, you're as good as those who lost all their money to crypto as far as I'm concerned. Do not let these charlatans influence your future. We cannot afford a literal anti-vaxxing, obscure member of a former political dynasty to even get close to anywhere near the White House. It's not going to happen. But the fact that I even have to say this, the fact that somebody with Jack's supposed level of intelligence is out there trying to push this man is suspect. The fact that he's using this new platform of his to try to weed in and push himself into a place that he really doesn't belong in the first fucking place? Nah. This is why we have to speak up. This is why I love doing these Bonnet Chronicles, because I refuse to let assholes like Jack Dorsey, who have way more money than he has brains, influence our political futures. We cannot afford to sit home and play around. We cannot afford to let men like his opinions siphon actual votes off. And I would love to believe that we are not a country that's stupid enough to let something like that happen, but we were stupid enough to allow 45 in 4 years. So I cannot trust that people won't let this idiot get in their head if we let him. So I'm being straight up. I'm not, if you want to be on Blue Sky, be on Blue Sky. I know social media is addicting. I know some of you still don't understand or trust Spoutable. Everything's new. Everything's weird. But I'm telling you right now, if you trust anything that Jack Dorsey puts out, you're doing it at a great risk. The man does not give a crap about the environment. He doesn't give a crap about you. And he definitely doesn't give a crap about anything but making his ends. He proved that with the selling of Twitter. You literally had a full, this wasn't just a social media app. He knows that every single world leader has a Twitter now. He knows the connections that were being made and created and everything that that site was being used for. And he tanked it. So no, I don't want to support Blue Sky or anything that Jack Dorsey makes anymore. Because he has shown that, yeah, he has the capability of putting something together, but he doesn't have the staying power for it. He doesn't give a fuck enough about it to make sure that it doesn't fall in the hands of literal despots. And now one of the biggest networking, sharing apps in the world is being fucking run into the ground in real time. So no, I will not take advice from Jack Dorsey, and I would suggest that if you consider yourself a Democrat, you already have your team next year for the Nationals. So work on your local election. There are so many local elections that need our attention. And the reason why is scary. And I think, no, not that. I think the problem with people not paying attention to stuff like this is it feels benign. Oh, it's just school funding, Tin. Why are you getting henny penny about school funding? I am not against regular schools, especially public schools, getting state tax dollars. But I'm going to pump the brakes when you're taking tax dollars for religious schools. And the reason being is because religious organizations in our country are not tax. Matter of fact, it's $1 billion industry. Most religion, but especially the Catholic Church, which is one of the schools being funded by this legislation, if it fully passes, being contested, thank goodness, because there are enough Americans who are like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. What's going on in Oklahoma? But the fact that this passed in the first place is scary. But when you look at their Republican-led governor, you can't be shocked. This is the way they intend to fight all of our progress. They're not going to do it fairly, and they're definitely not going to do it morally. They know that there is a separation of church and state, but if they can get enough yes people on any committee to approve it, it don't matter. Parochial schools are privately funded institutions, which means people who want their kids to go there need to come out of pocket. But it's bad enough the governor's already like, we'll give you tax incentives if you do that. We want you to put your kids in these state-run religious schools so that we can indoctrinate a future set of bigots that will teach each other to hate and create enemies and create divide where there shouldn't be. It is a perfect little center of making hateful beings. And then people, oh, Ted, don't say that. We're a good Christian thing. We just want to teach the kids morality. No. If that was the case, you would be doing things the legal way. If that was the case, you would stick with just the governor giving you the tax break for sending your kids there. But now you are circumventing it because it's all about getting that money. It was never about teaching kids proper stuff. And it is scary because if shit can happen like in Oklahoma, it can happen in any of the states, given enough people who are lax in local elections, lax in who they allow to run this city and state councils. Who runs your budget can be the difference between a governor like mine who signs laws that not only want to retain teachers and all kinds of Michigan professionals versus Oklahoma, which is basically telling people, we want you to be little good Christian soldiers. Even if you just end up foot soldiers for fuckery that die to our fascist leans. In the fight for power, so many people are going to be indoctrinated pawns. And it's scary how many people ignore the signs. These are clear signs of fascism. And then when you add governors like that idiot Deathsantis, who wants to push don't say gay and ban certain things being taught and ban books and poems. When you've got people like fucking Tate Reeves who could literally watch places in his state have no clean water. The president had to give $150 million to the state of Jackson, to Mississippi for Jackson's water crisis. And hopefully it won't go into Brett Favre's pocket this time. I said what I said. The problem with these wannabe dictators are there are a lot of them. And there are way too many people with the attitude, well, it's not knocking at my door yet, so I don't have to worry about it. It offends me that they're that awful, but it's not my problem. And it needs to feel like it's your problem no matter what. Even if it's not your state, even if it's not directly at your doorstep, it could be. Because if we ignore these trolls, they just continue to multiply. And they continue to teach younger generations to be like them. And all these supposed religious schools are doing is being anti-LGBT, being anti-black, especially anti-brown, anti-anybody who is a straight Christian white male doing whatever the fuck they please. And the last that I checked, that was not in the Bible. There was nowhere in the Bible that says straight white men should rule everything and everybody else is screwed. Yet this is the shit they keep trying to use the Bible for. And it's got to stop. If we are going to have any kind of spirituality and growth and equality and growth and actual progress as human beings, we have to get away from these weird pseudo-religious indoctrination centers. Definitely get away from these weird theocrats that are trying to take over our country. And truly focus on being decent people to one another. And it's hard because we are literally up against stupidity. Next year should be a slam dunk for President Biden. Anything somebody lobs at him, he's like, I'm the one that did the vaccine rollout. Anytime somebody wants to lob, prices are up. Oh, that debt ceiling thing? I ended that. Job growth? That was me. Oh, did I need to remind you that the last guy did absolutely nothing and stole state secrets? You want national security, you got that with me. So I legitimately, for real, am not worried about 2024 on my end. My vote is already secure with Biden and Harris. I am worried about local elections. There are too many people who don't take shit seriously. And when you don't, it's stuff like this that gets passed. And I know that for a lot of people, you don't understand how allowing for state-sanctioned tax dollars to go to a parochial school can lead to fascism. But one of the things that they have taught in a lot of these regimes is that, oh, you have a morality to God and you have to hate your enemy. And it's like, I don't want no parts of that. I understand that there's a place for those schools, and if you want to pay your money to send your kids to those schools, I can't stop you. But I am not okay with them taking tax dollars, which people have no say in that once it's done, which should be going to actual public schools, especially in places like Oklahoma, which probably need it more. But they want to turn state indoctrination into a national thing, and it should scare you. No normal country does shit like this. We are not a normal country, sadly. We are literally a melting pot that's still trying to figure our stuff out, and I try to be mindful of that. But it is scary to me when you understand history, when you've seen the parallels, when you see how easy people just sleep on certain things. And the amount of animus and enemies people make out of people who aren't trying to be. And that whole false morality thing that so many people lean on, I don't like it. And I'm sorry, I just don't. Ooh, my controller there. I just don't understand the whole idea. And I don't blame you, Beans. I refuse to join anything that man makes. But I think the issue with the school funding really stuck in my craw, because with kiddo going to a virtual school, because this is all virtual too. So not only are they taking money that physical schools could use, but they're doing it for a virtual setup, which shouldn't need that much funding. And I'm saying this as somebody who put my kid in virtual school in junior high school. So I do agree that those schools are necessary and they do a good job. But I'm not okay with the private Christian-run ones taking money from an actual public one that helps kids no matter what walk of life they come from. Now, if this was something like Connections Academy, which we happen to be a part of, looking for funding, I'd have no problem with that. I think it's important for virtual schools that aren't tied to any religion to speak up, get the funding that they need so that they can help as many kids, because since the pandemic, a lot of families went remote. And even before the pandemic, because of things like Sandy Hook, Mayor Stoneland Douglas, on top of so many other rapid fire shooter drills, Uvalde and everything else, there are a lot of us who are like, I don't want to deal with this no more. The fear of having the school call you and say, you need to stay where you are, the school's on lockdown because there's an active shooter outside. That has happened to me twice in my kids' time going to brick and mortar school. And nothing fills you with dread more than wondering if your baby is going to be okay because the school's on lockdown. There's a literal active shooter, and they don't even know what that means. No parent should have to go through that. But parents have gone through that and worse these last few years. I'm never going to forget the sounds of kids crying, the bodies in Uvalde, because we don't put funding into making our schools actually safe. And no, that doesn't mean arming teachers. It means teaching kids and making a society where we feel less need to be armed unnecessarily. But oh, the right don't want that. No, they want good little Christian soldiers that will die for the cause. And let me remind you, like I said the last time I had one of these Bonnet Chronicles, that will be your place. You will die for their cause. Because that's all they want you to do, is be a good little loyal foot soldier for fuckery and be an expendable pawn in their game. And you're not even doing it for a chance in heaven, because if you really think that spending your days as a mortal making enemies, making people's lives miserable because you just don't understand them will get you a place in heaven, good luck to you. I don't even understand that rhetoric. I don't understand that mindset, because no. That afterlife you're trying to sell is not interesting. No, thank you. I feel like there are a lot of people who they want to believe in something, and I don't blame you for it. In its whole spirituality, and especially Christianity, has always been meant to be a good thing. It's meant to give you peace. It's meant to guide you and teach you how to be a decent person if you follow certain tenets. But people have perversed and corrupted it over the years. Made it where it really does get utilized to make a us versus them. It really does get utilized to make women feel less than. It really does get utilized to cause divides where there shouldn't be. And you have to ask why. And then when you look at the way our societal power structure is, who's supposedly at the top and why, you start to make that connection and realize, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want to be a cog in a machine that only seeks to erode my energy. And that shouldn't be any of you. That's why they're so anti-woke. They want you to sleep. A sleeping soldier is the perfect little foot soldier for fuckery. Especially if you get to be happy little bigots in the case. But your hate doesn't do anything for you. It's a temporary dopamine hit so that you can feel supposedly better than somebody. But you're not really better and you know it. That's why so many are so angry to you. I want more people to realize that it's okay to let go of it. It's okay to realize that I was wrong. Being hateful, it felt good temporarily, but it ain't me. I don't have time for enemies. I want to move forward. I want our humanity to get better. I want things in our lives that, you know, some people think that we can't have because nothing in life is promised. And like I said a few weeks ago when my friend died, it hits you that that's for real. Nothing in life is promised. But you never know how far we could go if we would stop allowing these weirdo pseudo power grabs by these people who have none of our best interests in heart. I look at the GOP as it currently stands today. Their whole platform and agenda is attacking people. Attacking women, telling us that it don't matter if we're rape victims, it don't matter how old of a rape victim we are, we have to deal with that. Telling anybody LGBTQ that your whole existence is against their morality, even though these are the same people that will literally let a 10-year-old carry their rapist baby. These are the people that ignore the youth pastors that prey on children, ignore the old men in the church that prey on children, ignore all the bad and tell us to look away. Because morally speaking, they're supposedly the good people. Yeah, the drag show is a bridge too far for them, because how dare somebody who is trying to figure out who and what they are, both gender fluid wise and sexual orientation wise, how dare you feel confident in who you are? That's their agenda. And so many people want to sign up for it because it's a low-hanging fruit. You don't have to expend much mental energy to be a bigot. In fact, it takes no thought at all. It's real easy to be a hateful person. That's why so many people gravitate to it. But you know what's better for you? You know what's a better path? Living your best life and letting people live. The LGBTQ are not your enemy. But you know what is? Fascism. People think that, oh, I can be all right under a regime. They'll just take all my enemy out. Until your neighbor becomes the enemy. Until you become the enemy of the state. Because you just happen to look a certain way or didn't do something right. Because that's the nature of that beast. There will always be somebody that has to fall. Somebody will become the scapegoat. And trust me, I already know my happy black ass will be one of the first gone in a fascist regime. Somebody like Deathsantis running the country, oh, you could forget about it. He's already doing his antics again, shipping migrants, which is illegal. And I think you need to understand that. You cannot just round people up who are seeking asylum and transport them to a whole ass other state without proper documentation. But Deathsantis and Abbott have done that more than once. And the DOJ really needs to get on these governors who are pulling that. Because this isn't funny. These people aren't rag dolls. You can't just ship them when we have protocols in place for asylum seekers. But we have people who they think it's the land to do as they please. His wife running around with an ugly ass biker jacket talking about this is the state where woke goes to die. And it's like, no, it's a state where every bit of opportunity is dead now. Florida used to be an amazing state to live in. And I don't just say that because I went there during my college years. It's a beautiful state normally. There are amazing people still down there that I care about too. But it is being run into the ground by fucking doofus, and their whole anti-woke agenda should give you pause. Because in this day and age, if you are literally declaring yourself anti-woke, you might as well just have bigot tattooed on your forehead. I don't even care which group you're bigoted against. I'm assuming that when you say you're anti-woke, you are pro-bigotry in all shapes and forms. It don't matter which flavor of it, it's all shitty. And the whole idea of a governor being anti-woke when you are literally the governor of a whole state and there's not just one type of Floridian, that should give you pause. His fight with Disney, his don't say gay bills, his banning literal AP Black studies. Because they don't want people knowing history. They don't want people learning. They want proper little foot soldiers for fuckery. And some of you are willingly signing up like idiot little lambs to the slaughter. What is it gonna take for people to stop being so desperately dumb and start being decent human beings? In this clout-seeking culture, I am more worried now. Because it's almost fashionable to be awful. And people are making literally palatable, lucrative careers telling people that their identity offends them, which, mind your business. Making people feel out of place for stuff that they can't and shouldn't want to change about themselves. The harm of hate is both mental and physical. And I want less people indulging in that. And the only way we are going to get to that place in life is to work on ourselves. I tell people this all the time, and I don't say it like I'm a self-help guru. I'm saying this as somebody who's human, who is still shedding some of the more toxic things. I'm a Gen Xer. I have grown up with some really fucked up stuff. Fucked up sexist stuff, fucked up racist stuff, some internalized misogynistic stuff especially, that I've had to undo, and I'm still working on it. My house isn't perfect. I tell people all the time, it is very lopsided because I am used to being the caretaker in my situation. I grew up with island women. We handle our stuff a certain way. I realize that that's not always great. We're not in a world where you should be a partner that needs to be taken care of. And I feel like I've had to work, especially with Kiddo lately, to try to shed some of that from him so that if he does find somebody, they're not like, ugh, you would survive 10 minutes without me. But the reality of the situation is I am still doing certain things because I am used to it. Because I was trained to be that way. And it's scary, the stuff that I am still unlearning. The anti-black stuff that I had to unlearn as well, because, and this is real talk time, code switching isn't just something that you do amongst white people if you're real. Sometimes there are certain black folks that you have to be a certain level sedity with because they won't accept you. They don't even want to accept themselves. And when you are around those type of people and you fear that you're going to become that kind of person yourself, it's scary. I have gotten to the point where I'm comfortable being me. I don't care who likes it, take it or leave it. But it did not come easy. And when I say that for me, the path of acceptance is accepting that I'm black and I would never change that about myself. I'm black and I don't care if anybody else in this society accepts it. I accept it. And that was a constant state of working on it, because there was a long time, years even. And this is deep for me to admit this, y'all. But there was years of looking in the mirror and completely feeling broken, like I didn't need to be here, that I didn't deserve to be here. And I am sick and tired of seeing people live like that, especially during Pride Month. It is not just a black thing, but I know that a lot of black people, a lot of biracial people especially, are feeling this. It's hard when you know your existence deserves to be here, but you have society telling you that, oh, it's too different. We can't accept it. And it's not about you accepting it. It is about them accepting it. It is about you accepting it. But there are so many people who they don't get the chance to feel that. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing good lives lost because it's miserable trying to get to this place. And it isn't easy getting to this place. And it's not 100%. There's still days you wake up and you're just like, oh, this is exhausting. Being here with these bigots is exhausting. But we need you. I would rather have more of you than them. And I'm not saying that as I want them to go, even though I do make the joke that kind of wish their rapture would happen and leave the earth to us heathens. I just want more people to just be decent to one another. Understand that we are a complex system of beings. That somebody's lifestyle and choice is that. And it has nothing to do with you unless you're directly dating them. It has nothing to do with you because it's their life. And I want people to just stop hating people for superficial shit. You see somebody with black skin, that's just a human with black and brown skin. Let them show you who they are. Instead, people keep assuming the worst about people they don't even know, thus creating stuff that shouldn't be. And it doesn't make sense to me. I want us to move forward. And exactly, Beans. I don't understand the hubris of a certain demographic because I've never been. But I do know that they tend to be the most vocal on what's racism, even though they're the ones that perpetrate it, and what's bigotry. And they're always the ones offended by things like drag shows, because how dare somebody entertain each other as women or in female form? The female form has been in entertainment since the beginning of theater. Everything from kabuki theater on to nowadays Broadway. People have dressed up in character and in music form since the inception of theater. Drag is just another viable art form of that. But it teaches confidence for young people who are gender fluid especially, but especially LGBTQ, who just want to express themselves. And it is frustrating to me that we have people who are more into banning that, but have no sense, nonsense, literal non-gun laws on the books. Texas, open carry, even though we just had Uvalde. They raced to roll back abortion rights because of Dobbs, because that's a high priority for them fuckers. They don't care about our safety, security, or our rights to live. So why do we continue to let these idiots run the narrative? Why do we not elect officials that care about our safety, care about our security, don't give a fuck about a drag show? Because as long as if you're not into drag, don't pay it no mind. Let the people who want their kids to see it, and mind your business. But the problem is we have taught way too many people of a certain demographic that they control. And that if they tantrum enough, if they stomp their feet and pout enough, they can get their way. That's why Amanda Gorman's poem that had absolutely nothing to do with CRT, yet if you ask Deathsantis about it, he would probably say he did, got banned. One white lady complained about it. And I say white lady, but it's questionable the ethnicity of that lady. I know she's an anti-Semite, which is just like, ugh. The fact is, we have taught a demographic that if they pout and stomp their feet enough, if they boycott hard enough, they can get their way in this country, and we have got to stop that too. Because they have been a roadblock in our human progression for far too long. And they keep trying to say, well, it's our moral right. We're just trying to save the children's souls. We'll ignore the fact that a lot of our children have babies out of wedlock because we refuse to teach them the functionality of the human body or sexuality in a viable way. We don't want them to know. We'll figure it out as they go along. And it's the ignorance. It's the perceived ignorance in the guise of innocence that has caused us the most harm as a people. Knowledge is not the enemy. But if you ask their side, oh, they're against it. Because they realize that in an informed society, their ideals don't survive. And it's not their spirituality. True spiritual people know that faith is not used the way they're using it. But these frauds, these pseudo-religious types, oh no, they do not want a smarter society. They don't want those who can find the balance and understand the knowledge and believe in the higher power. Because they don't think it's possible because they know that they're running the fucking front. They know it's bullcrap to them. They talk a real good game in one face, but in the other face, they are spiteful, hateful, harmful people. And I don't want them in charge of stuff. Definitely don't want them in charge on the national level again. We already had 4 years of that. Under the fallout of 45, I do not want worse under Deathsantis. We need to be smart about this. We need to be strategic about how we counter them. I know that some people are like, oh, I fight with these people all the time. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I know it feels like fun to constantly argue with those idiots, but it's like that old saying. You wouldn't fight with a pigeon. You wouldn't play chess with a pigeon because all they would do is shit on the chessboard. We have to be strategic in not only making sure that we're whole and taken care of, but that we vote. That we vote in people that want to get the job done. And that we wrestle these states away from these people who think, well, nobody's going to pay attention. We've got enough people indoctrinated. And we've suppressed enough of the other side. We have the ability to get past their antics. These are not smart people. I need to remind you yet again, these are not smart people. Who are their lead people right now? You've got Bubblehead Bubber, Muppet Green, Matt, I'm pretty sure he's a sex trafficker Gertz. The Great Pretender, as I opened up the cast with. These are people that the GOP have literally led as serious people. Not to mention their failed leader, McCarthy, who is the very reason why we were able to get the debt ceiling stuff passed, because he's a moron. These people shouldn't be in charge of anything. They should not be representatives. And we, on a state-by-state basis, need to start putting these fuckers out of their jobs. Because in the us versus them, their them is a low-hanging, I don't have to think about it, I could just be a hateful bigot fruit. And sadly, to some that identify as white or think they're adjacent enough to it, it's a tasty fruit for them. So until that stops being the case, those of us who see it, who really have to be a defender of democracy, we need to organize. Next year needs to be about the midterms. I'm not worried about the nationals. We need, on a state-by-state basis, to work with the DNC, get in these seats that seem unflippable, getting stuff that's normally run uncontested, filled with blue people. Because it doesn't take that many members of a school board to go, I don't like that. It makes me feel bad. Let's ban it for books. I don't like that. It makes me feel bad for a drag show that has absolutely nothing to do with them. My morality says I don't like that, so I need to wield this invisible political power of mine. And we need to take that power away from them. Because the power has only been used to harm in hateful ways, and there's no reason for it. And the ability to stop them in their tracks has always been in our hands. With our vote, with staying informed, and with not letting the apathy build. That's my only concern for next year, is those who get apathetic. Those who still don't feel centered enough, or centered at all. Those who think that, it won't matter, I can set this one out. It's a safe bet. There is no such thing as a safe bet. If we've learned anything from the other side, they are fully capable and willing to cheat to get what they want. So we have to be even more on the ball in state and local elections. Who can you trust when you know that the people, especially fully indoctrinated, don't care? They were willing to huff pee and cow dewormer instead of getting the vaccination. So we can't rely on their base to wake the fuck up. And they don't care, because it is about making their coffers wealthy and powerful. It is on those of us who claim to be on the side of progress, who claim to be on the side of decency and democracy, that has to keep moving forward and paying attention. The path to power isn't an easy one. And it's not even real power. To me, progress is the only way for humans to grow, to continue on. Anything else is going to stagnate and destroy us. And I don't mean progress, the far left mantra of free this, free that, because no, just stop. There's no such thing as free. Somebody has to make it happen. So let's be realistic about our approach. True progress is setting up capitalism that works for the communities that you claim to care about. Letting Black and brown business owners run stuff in their neighborhoods without fear of losing everything. Letting Black neighborhoods grow and flourish without the fear of being destroyed, like Black Wall Street in Tulsa was. Letting LGBTQ neighborhoods flourish and grow in every state. That is the way we get true progress. People actually able to earn, grow, educate themselves in ways that are comparable and viable for them, at a pace that works for them without going against them, in systems that aren't just looking to fail you out or set you to the side if you're not showing skillful athlete aptitude, but actually look at a child and go, we see that your mind opens up when you talk about this certain subject. Let's cater the learning towards that. It's the kind of future I want, where a child like mine that is neurodivergent but has a goal gets help towards that goal. My kid wants to be in science. I am so proud of the work he's been doing to make that happen. And it isn't easy. There are a lot of both physical and mental roadblocks, but there's also societal bullshit that we're going to have to navigate that makes my heart break. Because it should be the kind of world where if your kid wants to be in science, they could study science and love science. But the reality of the situation is we're up against eugenics and prejudice. And I want that to stop. Because how many minds that could be out there not only solving energy, but solving medical issues and other crises that we are still going through. But they don't get a chance because they were born in the wrong social standing. And it's not just here. This is a global problem with our society, the way it's currently structured. If we want progress, we really have to work on ourselves and our attitudes. What qualifies and quantifies as powerful? What's allowed in our society? Because we have allowed so many people to literally pay their way through it. They don't really have to be smart. Looking at that idiot 45. He literally bought everything through his life. It's all a facade. But you'll look at somebody who genuinely wants to get the work done, genuinely can get the work done with a side eye. Because that's how twisted our society is. And we have to really work on that attitude of not accepting decency over this weird decadence and this whole flaunting society. Oh, if I show how big my life is, if I show how great everything is, people will think I'm successful. And it's like, I'm tired of the measure of success being superficial, stupid shit. Those people always end up being criminals too. I want to see more people who want to take their communities up with them. We don't have enough of those heroes being touted. The people that feed their neighborhoods. The people that clothe people. The people that take in kids and make sure that they're not suffering. The neighborhoods that keep it together in spite not having a lot. That's the kind of society we should be building up. And we should also be working towards not only understanding our planet, but what's beyond our planet. And there are so many minds out there that want to do that, but they don't always get the opportunities to. And I want to see that changed. I honestly feel like we are on that path, but I could feel the dogs of war literally nipping at our heels, trying to hamstring any progress we can make. And we have to learn to tell them no, because they're just nipping at that point. But if they got their way, they would hobble us in a heartbeat, because we stop their illusion of power. We stop their control over our society and their ridiculous narrative. We don't allow them to do as they please and run roughshod over us anymore. And they fear that kind of society because they don't understand their place in that society. They're used to being the bosses of everything. They don't want to share the platform, and we have to stop allowing their way to be the norm if we are going to get anywhere as humans. And I truly believe that we can. I feel it in my pores that we can get somewhere. But it really is going to take keeping focused, especially politically informed. And I know some people think, oh, Taylor, why are you always talking about politics? Because it's important. And because too many of my friends, especially my friends who are white, just don't seem to think that the anti-government leans that some of yous have, that some of yous express like you're joking around, but it's not a joke. Just don't see the damage in that. Oh, I don't like thinking about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. Make me mad. I don't want it. Okay, but who represents you? Is the difference between your state being like mine with legalized weed and actual money coming in and it being prosperous versus your governor literally funding a state-run religious school? It matters. And you need to stop telling yourself that you just don't like the government. You're the one that elects the government and the representative of your government. So if you don't like it, do something about it and vote. It really is that simple. And it's sad that I have to talk to people like this, have to get the mama voice in sometimes. But I feel like if you don't, people just refuse to get it. They refuse to open their eyes and understand that the power really is in your hands at this point. There is absolutely nothing stopping people from staying informed, getting people in there that want to take us further. There are a lot of agendas a lot of coffer-filling agendas that tend to distract certain people. A lot of populism messages that tend to distract people because they'll tell you, oh, you deserve certain things. Just ignore the fact that we're going to step on the necks of this group. Yeah, we'll call it identity politics. Don't pay it no mind. And we need to get y'all away from that. Because in true progress, nobody's left behind. Nobody's left out. Nobody's stepped on. And there are no scapegoats. I'm tired of enemies. I said that in the last Bonnet Chronicles, and I mean it. I'm done with that. Life is way too short. Burying yet again people close to me really opened my eyes that I don't want to live the rest of my existence with a bunch of enemies. I don't care about people who are openly GOP. I can't. I don't view them as my enemies. I view them as a pathetic cause that we have to save from themselves. I'm done with that mentality that these people are people I've got to fight. I'm just done with it. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Beans, thank you so much for sitting in. I will hopefully be back on Friday. We don't have any current plans outside Callie's vet appointment and just making sure that everything up in the new place is okay. But hopefully Friday night I will be back with an all-new live one. I'm hoping to be on for a gaming weekend too, but I'm not sure about that yet. But I am just so grateful to you sitting in. Thank you so much. And, oh yeah, let me get this up before I stop. I want to thank everybody who has been donating to this. We are doing a happy housewarming fund. It is for those who want to help out with our housewarming, since we're not going to actually do a physical one. We, because of COVID still, just want to move to the new place. And I know people have reached out to me on social media and on YouTube and stuff in my mentions asking if we were doing something like this. We're going to try it in the PayPal form. It goes until July 4th. Any help helps. Anything you want to donate, that's fine. If you can share it, great. That's all I'm asking. We're already up to $270. I'm just amazed by the kindness and generosity of the people who watch the stream and beyond. You guys just rock. And I know a lot of it's done from the people who follow me on Spoutable, so I appreciate all of you as well. Thank you all so much. We are still also doing the push to 1,000 on YouTube. Once we get to 1,000, I will be doing the giveaway of both a signed copy of our book Axiom and some of our chronically unmotivated merch, including our mugs and our t-shirts and maybe a hoodie. It just depends. But that is far away still. We are still at 361, I believe. So until that happens, I'm not going to worry about it. But when it does happen, we plan to do a giveaway bonanza, and I am excited about that. But until then, I am going to get ready to wrap this up. Beans, once again, thank you so much for sitting in. I will see you all on Friday, and you take it easy.